This is your second drawing from a master work. It's by George Gross called Fit for Active Service. It's also known as Faith Healers. Interesting piece. Has an interesting sort of dark quality to it, but also kind of a comedy to it. I've noticed some people sort of hate this type of work and some people find it fascinating. It's considered a seminal part of the post-World War II movement, New Schokit, or New Objectivity. It's pen and ink with brush on paper. It depicts a bare skeleton here in the middle, being judged by a physician, and he's being judged as physically fit. So you notice this World War I medal here. Physically fit for active service, which, if you think about it, very comical because, of course, it's a skeleton, so it's playing with that idea. This KV is acronym, abbreviation for that in German. So the German soldiers and military doctors around are conscripting people into service, and some of them are grinning, some of them are sort of writing over here. It's kind of an interesting sort of amalgamation of people. So these are the people judging if they're fit. And back here you'll notice at the very back some interesting smokestacks and industrialization happening. Well, that's about, that sort of switch that was happening in the modern world where people were becoming disillusioned with industrialization and urbanization. So the military doctor has the Iron Cross on him, and see, we notice the military symbol right here. So this is kind of the content of the piece, and we have like a guy back here who's a soldier standing at attention. And you could see that he's using kind of a strange idea of perspective to show you the whole of the surface of the table, not realistically. And these guys are kind of almost like the Muppets guys who sit up in the booth making commentary, smoking, happy as can be. It has a sort of cartoon-like nature, and it's got the political and social overtones before it. It's kind of almost a sketch, but it's become really a piece about the superficialness of war and society. And it's got a really simple line quality to it, but immediacy to it that really has a scathing commentary. How is it working as a piece? Well, scale is working interestingly to draw our eye in, and if you notice kind of the way people are looking at each other has like a psychic line quality. There's a density of line here in the middle and value on the skeleton that's drawing our eye to it, and a lot of people are sort of looking at each other or looking down, which means they almost don't care. But the only person that's directly facing us, there's three people who are directly facing us: the skeleton, the guy in the background, and the doctor, right? And he's looking right at the viewer to implicate you. He's sort of looking at you, and the doctor's looking at and listening to his heart. So the faces that we can see the most are all looking at us and drawing our attention, and there's sort of an eye path that goes like that through them, and you'll see how he's controlling the movement around the drawing. I think it's a really interesting piece because even though it's really simple, it has a lot of interesting stuff going on. The eye level of the viewer is right here at the bottom of the floor, and interestingly, so it's kind of almost at the heart of this skeleton, which is profound in a lot of ways. So go ahead and start working on this with pencil. It's a pretty simple line drawing, but has a lot of detail to it. Spend a solid amount of time on it, working through all the details and looking at the design. Even though it's not, in quotes, realistic, you'll learn a lot about how these simple sort of shapes and simplifications of things can really communicate. And I think it'll help you to think about the type of line quality that he uses. You can use pen to do this if you want, and pen and ink and a brush if you have it, or you could use pencil. It might be nice to do pen because he actually has pen. He did it in pen. But if you're worried about erasing and things like that, I understand. So pencil's fine. You could pencil it and then use pen over the top. But spend a good amount of time really investigating. And I think the thing that's interesting about this is all the negative spaces between people and how they overlap. People sort of overlap, but there's these negative spaces around here that kind of create this feeling of compression and tension, because there's not a lot of negative space, I should say. There's a compression and overlap and tension about this process and these people as a group looking at this person who's going to be called up to the front to work to be a soldier, basically, which is pretty hilarious and also has something true about it that's a really intense critique all at the same time. All right, guys, so have a look at the PDF at the bottom of this module for the drawings. This is number 2, and then you submit it as usual. Okay, take care.